And welcome to another episode of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club, episode number 329. I am the Corey C. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to be notified of all future episodes. We're on the Apple and Google Podcast app, Spotify, YouTube, and so on. So support the show and tell every Tiger that you know. And we have a packed house today. Got a bunch of hoopers with me. I think I'm pretty sure everybody on this show today grew up thinking they were going to the NBA at some point. But that dream fizzled out for us all. So instead of playing basketball, we figured we'd come on the show and talk about it. So let's get to it. Ken Clark, BJ, and Mo Knows. What up, fellas?
Yo,
what's going on? What's up, Tiger Nation?
Looking at the calendar, March is March. So what's synonymous with March, especially when we talk about sports and basketball? What word is synonymous with March?
March Madness. Yeah. Madness, baby.
March Madness. It's that time of year. And on Lynch Street, we have some madness going on with our basketball teams. We definitely want to take some time out to give them some props, give them some shout outs, and really just talk about the season, reflect on the season, and kind of look forward. So we already, ladies first. We know we're going to start with the ladies, and this is nothing new. This is what they do every single year. I think this is the fourth straight regular season title. So let's give it up for the Lady Tigers. Four straight. Another number one seed. So
shout out to Coach Reed, man. The GOAT.
What's still where the rings was at.
Where the rings was at.
This is where the rings was at. She was pathetic with that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no doubt. And there was a video that just dropped. Ken Clark, I want you to talk about it. I just know Ken Clark. I know how. I know how you felt about that video that dropped. That was
dope, man. No, that was dope, man. Shout out to the new media team in place at the university. Partnered with Coach Tamika Reed, and man, it was. I like that, man. It was. I love the content creators, man, that are able to grasp a lot of different pieces, and then you don't know what they're going to use. You don't know how they're going to use it, but then they'll come back. They'll play a little music to pull you into it, and then they flip to that, and it just kind of told a story all from one setting. So I think it really encapsulated Coach Tamika Reed, her staff, and this great team that we've had a chance to witness all season, man. Dope video. It was fire content, man, and I know she was proud of it, and I love the way it opened though, the intensity, because y'all know Coach Reed. She's sweet as apple pie, but boy, when she be coaching, boy.
Fire, boy.
I mean, a straight firecracker, man. And I mean,
listen to that kid. Not to cut you off, but I got to.
No, you good. I'm done.
The Valley game they just played at Valley. Who listened to that broadcast?
Oh yeah, you're talking about when she picked up when you could hear coaching.
It was like she was Mike, but it wasn't on purpose.
She get intense, man. I love it though.
Wait, where Tamika Reed from?
Jacktown,
baby.
Right here.
She got that Jacktown Jew in her, right?
Yeah.
Don't play. But nah, that was dope. That was dope. So let's talk about it. I mean, 17-1. Didn't go unblemished, right? They finally got us. But what do you guys? What impressed you the most about this team?
The bounce back. Just you slipped up and you lost one, and then reel off all of those wins afterwards in a dominating fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I had to say how they got better and better. Like as the year got on, you saw different players on the team just progress, and you saw the confidence and how this team is starting to build their own thing. Like some of the players that we had and we depend on, they all gone. So I think at first we were trying to figure it out, see who was gonna step up and who was gonna really be that person. So I feel like now they kind of just gelling and they building their own team and they figuring their way out.
I agree with all that, man. I mean, I think BJ put it well. I mean, when you in the beginning of the season, when you had that kind of success and you had the luxury of a Deja Rogan and Misha Williams Holiday, and you go into the NCAA tournament, we should have won that game, man. We should have beat LSU, but then you have a Gerard Covington that's taking over, that's supposed to elevate, bring in a Daphne and a Angel, and it's like who's who, and that's what it felt like. Even though we were winning some games at the beginning of the season, we won against some FBS, Power 5. We always do that in football. But here's my point.
FBS, yeah. Power
It's still
5, Group of
NBA.
5.
Power 5, Group of 5. But here's the point. The point is, it's like the activity on the floor changed. We were turning the ball over a lot in the first part of the season. It seems like after that loss, it's like, all right, we kind of got it over with. It felt like they were playing with the pressure of not wanting to lose, playing not to lose. And finally, when they did that, Coach Tamika Reed was able to bring them back together, like Mo said, bounce back. And then now we got a more defined team. The roles are more defined.
Mm.
Covington is, playing at a high clip, man. Daphne White, and not to be too long-winded, but that's what I took from it, man. Just they found their identity, and it has shown over the past 10 or so games.
Definitely, I think they got back to. But yeah, I think they got back to, first of all, and I think they just got nasty and just really got to the point where they were just playing hard. So I like what I saw from them.
And that's to it be expected when you lose 2 players. Now think about this. We lost 2 players to the pros, right? I don't think that's talked about that much. So a SWAC team and then a SWAC women's team. We lost 2 players off our team to the pros, right? To be clear, Amisha Williams-Holiday was drafted by the Indiana Fever of the WNBA, right?
Correct.
And Deja Rogan is currently killing it overseas, in Serbia. I mean, she is, if you look at her numbers, she's putting up better numbers over there than she did in the SWAC. And we talk about a SWAC player of the year. She won SWAC.
Right.
So for any program to lose 2 players to the pros, we talk about, you don't rebuild, you reload. That's what she did. She wouldn't reload. So she lost a lot. So you can imagine, like you said earlier, players trying to figure the roles out. And then you had injuries and things of that nature. You start the season with certain players, and then you lose them. So I think it took a while for them to kind of figure it out. But the thing that's most impressive to me is the depth and the balance of this team, because anybody can lead the team in scoring. You never know. One game is Covington, then it's Bowler, Daphne, Angel. Lucky can step up any day and lead the team in scoring.
Yeah.
Liz can get hot at any moment and lead the team in scoring. So that's probably most impressive. Bowler, I mean, talk about stepping up her junior season. She ultimately led the team in scoring at 12.7.
Bowler, man.
Covington, who, you talk about a fifth-year senior, right? That she did what she was supposed to do in terms of leading the team. And then, of course, Daphne and Angel rebounding the ball. So talk a little bit about the newcomers in terms of replacing the 2 ladies that we lost to the pros.
Definitely looking at Daphne White. We know she sat out last year, but her development from the first game to the very end is 2 different players. We had someone who really had to kind of learn the system and really try to, adjust to the how Comforts plays her. She's getting hit every play. She had to understand that the SWAC referees are not going to call fouls. She had to also understand how she has to play tough and keep the ball high. And that was one thing I really loved about her. She's 6'5". She knows and understands that if she keeps it high, nobody in the SWAC can stop her. And then you got Angel Jackson, that's our rim protector. Very important that we have her, because people oftentimes, they try to go out in the paint. They want to get Daphne in foul trouble, but then we take Daphne out. And now you got to face somebody possibly just as good in Angel Jackson. Also, that development of Tylen Bowler. We had an injury in Crump. She went down, and we did not skip any. There was no drop-off at all. Bowler learned how to be a scorer in this league, and I look for her to be the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year next year.
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, this team is loaded, man. They're loaded with talent.
They are.
I think you hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, the development of these players that have come in, like I said, we didn't really know. We knew what we were familiar with Luckett and Covington, but Tylen Bowler, man, I am a fan of hers, bro. She is a baller. And I remember when we interviewed Coach Tamika Reed, and she was very high on Bowler, and Bowler has not disappointed. She's a young, and that's not hyperbole for Willie to say that.
Well, with her,
it's not, because I absolutely can. We absolutely can expect her to be. I think she can be preseason player of the year, in my opinion. Just she's done enough.
I think the talent is there.
I mean,
when you're on such a stacked team, sometimes you don't get to show. We saw it with the football team. We talked about players who should be first team all SWAC in football, but you know how we're so loaded that everybody had to get playing time. So I think it's the same with her. I don't want to say she's been held back. We're talking about a dandy dozen. on a loaded roster
We've
with
been held back.
gold and upperclassmen, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was when you lose a Crump for the season, now she has to step up into that role, and you just saw her growing. Could you just see her growing before your very eyes?
Right.
And
Every
especially
game, man, she's gotten better. Like I said, we all know the game, and then when you see a player who kind of like trying to find her own, you know, they you know, I could do it, but do I overexert myself? And because you got a Martino, you got an Angel Jackson, you got a, you know what I'm saying, Daphne White, you got a Shana Lucky, you got a Gerard Cup, you know what I'm saying? When you know, what do I do? And then toward the season, as the season goes on, it's like she's just like, look, I'm here. I'm
doing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, you go look at that game, man, and just which game was that? We were just the Valley game. You know, playing against Valley, it's still kind of close. You get what I'm saying? And then we were just like, all right, I've had enough of this. We got to go and get some separation around here, man. So I just thought that, you know, Bowler's a baller, man. But that's just one player on, like you said, on a loaded roster, and we can go 6, 7, 8, 9 deep, you know, if we need to. So don't rebuild, we reload. So, you know, that's a testament to Coach Reed and her staff and their ability to recruit top tier talent. Because to do it 4 years in a row, it speaks to the program. It's not luck.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I've always been a fan of Bowler. Mo will tell you in our group chat, I've been talking about her since a freshman. This is going to be her year. She's going to break out. She's going to break out. But the game, for me, if you go back to that Texas game in the Coliseum where we were just struggling to put the ball in the hole, she led the team in scoring. I want to say she had over 20 points against a Power 5. So that was kind of, for me, her coming out party, and she's been getting better and better ever since. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And, you know, we talked about the losses of this team, you know, of course, Amisha, as we said, and Deja, but I consider Maya Crump as a loss as well, because she was a person who was a
major loss.
All-SWAC first team. I thought she would have been the leading scorer on this team, right? But of course, she's been sidelined due to injury. So losing a player like her, that's where that depth really, really starts to come into play. And not only her, if you really want to talk about it, if you really want to get down to it, this team also lost a LaMiracle Sims. We're talking about a player who started at power forward for most of last season as well. So to replace her and not skip a beat. And then Mo, you remember this young lady by the name of D Hammer as well?
D Hammer.
Right. Yeah. Lost her.
Hammer.
A transfer who was on the team, obviously didn't play this season. So we were talking earlier before the season, like, I don't know how we're going to, you have so many players, I don't know how we're going to all get them in. So of course we started to lose players, but that depth really started to show itself.
It worked itself out.
It worked itself out. And when you look at losing those players, who are some of the players in your mind who stepped up the most and had probably the biggest improvement over the course of the season?
Me first, I gotta highlight Big Daphne. Like, I just gotta highlight her. I gotta highlight her, man. The way she, I guess when she had some lofty expectations, I think, coming in, and I think Daphne just had to get her feet in the game and just get comfortable. And when she wants to be dominant, as you see, it's just sometimes she's just unbearable. You can't stop her.
She's a load.
She's just a load, and when she gets physical down there in that paint, and she make up her mind that she wants to be dominant, I mean, good luck. I mean, she's been a double machine. I mean, like on this last stretch, it's almost, you look up, Daphne got 10 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks. You just feel her presence out there, and you know, and we're gonna go as she goes, I believe.
I'm gonna go with Gerard Covington.
That would be my number 2.
Reason I would say that is because, you know, can't really say Angel, can't really say Daphne, in my opinion, because we didn't really see them play. You know, I know we did talk about Tina Bowler. You know, they got Deja Woodard that's a baller as well. But this team goes as Covington goes. Like I said, 5th year senior. I think towards the beginning of the season there was still some, you know, because Deja Rogan was the one. She was the ball handler. She was the one bringing the ball up the floor last season. So Covington played a lot of minutes for Coach Tamika Reed and staff last year. Now she's the primary point guard. She's primary ball handler. Her and Shana Luckett. But the point is, I think toward the beginning of the season, you know, when you're trying to figure things out, that leads to a lot of indecisive decisions, which could lead to some turnovers. Her turnovers are down. Her assists are up. Her points are up. And you can see that toward the back end of the season, man. And I think she really stepped up and really filled into that leadership role, man. And I'm telling you, this team goes as she goes. Now, it's not, you know, the post players, your front court players are usually the one. They depend on the guards to get the ball up the court.
Mhm.
You know, you need your guards to get the ball to them, you know, but the guards that are handling the ball the majority of the game, if you can get set into the offense, you can get passes made without giving the ball away. That to me speaks to the type of team that you got. And I've seen her improve tremendously over the season. So I would say Gerard Covington, if I had to. Daphne is great, but I would say from an improvement standpoint, stepped up the most, I would say Gerard Covington.
Two things on those two before you step in. So going back to Daphne, I think one reason why she was able to improve so much over the course of the season, me personally, just my thought, I don't know if she was in shape when the season started. It seems like she started to really get her win and really get back into the groove of things. And you asked Coach Reed when we interviewed her prior to the season, you said, hey, you basically asked her, is Daphne still on the team? Because we hadn't really seen her all summer.
Yep.
So I don't think she was on campus. I don't know, but I don't think she was with the team for whatever reason. And we saw this last season with Amisha as well, getting married, right, and away from the team for a little bit. So it took her a little bit of time to kind of get back in the groove. So I think the Daphne that we saw towards the end of the season is the real Daphne. And prior to that, she was just trying to get that conditioning. And then with Covington, you talked about the things she's improved upon. One thing you didn't mention, that 3-point shooting, though.
Yeah, shooting. It's all part of man. She's shooting the cup off that thing.
3-point. Yeah, absolutely.
But more so decision making for me, because y'all know me, man. I'm a cerebral. I like the mental side of the game, and I think her decision making has improved the most to me, you know, on top of everything else. Go ahead with.
She's our floor general. She's definitely the straw that stirs the cup. She's definitely that player that if the game is on the line, we're going to Jariah. If we need a three, we're going to Jariah. If we need a play to be set up, we're going to Jariah. So she's definitely the captain of this ship. And, you know, when we get to the NCAA tournament, I'm already speaking it, we're going to go as far as Jariah Covington takes us.
That's
Kylan
right.
Bowler, we love her. She's young. She's a great, smooth player. Daphne White, she's a great post player. She's a presence. Her and Angel Jackson, they're both great presence in the post. But you got to have that guard that can take over a game. And Jariah Covington, she is that player for us. She is the captain of this ship. And we're going to go as far as Jariah takes us.
So I'll tell you just how deep this team is. We're about 15, 20 minutes in. And one name we haven't mentioned, she's preseason defensive player of the year. We haven't even mentioned Deja Woodard.
I briefly mentioned I felt bad when I went through that. That's why you hate mentioning names, because
because once you go down that
path, you feel like you forgot somebody. But I'm gonna say this to Deja Woodard. You know, Deja Woodard got a skill that I never had, and her ability to dunk with 2 hands off 2 feet. I couldn't jump over a sheet of paper off 2 feet. But I won
from this season. Her a dunk from Deja Wood. That's the only thing that's
missing. I'm still waiting on her to do it.
Oh man, we're gonna get it. Come on, Deja. We need you to go ahead and get that dunk for the season over.
Right. Yeah, but this team, the number one offensive and the number one defensive team in the SWAC.
Impressive.
So, you know, and we all played ball. I'm pretty sure at some point, especially in high school, you heard your coach say offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. Well, we're doing both. Coach Reed's doing both. She's selling tickets, and with the defense, she's winning championships. So it's no surprise that the success of the team. Number one in margin of victory as well, outscoring opponents by double digits on average. So this team is really a juggernaut. 75-5 in the past 80 SWAC games. Wow, that's we're talking about some elite. That's the 72. That's the 96 Bulls. and the 2016 Warriors. I don't want to say Warriors though, because they didn't finish the deal. I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
that's some
80
prime
UConn.
Yeah. Man, it's hard to do that in any level, man.
That's some prime Pat Summit. You know, any level.
Yeah,
dominating.
20-8 overall. So, you know, we have the SWAC tournament coming up. We don't want to overlook that because, you know, like they say, any given Sunday, any given day, anything can happen. But we expect this team to win the SWAC and head back to the tournament. And, you know, seeding, that's the thing I'm going to be looking at. Last season, we were the 14th seed. When we handle our business in the SWAC, what seeding do you expect? What do you think is fair? Because I feel that last season we were robbed of our deserving seed. 14 is higher than typically what a SWAC team would receive, but I think it should have been a lot higher. So what
12.
do you guys think realistically?
12.
No, we did have a in-conference loss this season, but we upset a Power 5 team, which we didn't do last season.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. I don't want to be biased because I like to look at the similar teams that have similar you know, you look at the rankings and the losses and, you know, all that, but I think we should be somewhere within where we were last year, somewhere between a 12 and a 14.
Oh, I'm being a little too.
I mean,
no. I personally, the reason why I say that is that when you look at the number 1 team in the country, then you look at the number 2 team in the country, and then you look at the number 3 team, it is a major drop off.
Major drop off. I agree.
From 2 to 3. So you're gonna get some. I'm talking about top 25 in the country. So you're gonna see that back 10 is gonna be. And I get it. You might get some smaller schools that might have better records, but they may be ranked lower because of the strength of schedule. But Mo might be right with 12, 11 range or something like that, 12, 13. But I mean, if we really want to be honest, I mean, it shouldn't be 11, man. And if you really want to get funky with it, a 10. You really could make a justification for it because we might have lost that one game. I remember that game in Prairie View, man. The referees were tripping, and they were tripping hard.
But when they give us that seeding, though, they're not going to look at what referees did.
They're going to look at. So let's say you get through the tournament that you're going to be 23-8. Mm-hmm. You're going to be 23-8. So you win 3 games. Right. You go into the seeding. They're going to look at power. You're going to look at the strength of schedule. Look at the back-to-back. They're going to look at also. The question that I would ask is there going to be some serious consideration for how they performed in the NCAA tournament last year?
I think so. You have to. You have to take that into account.
Factor that in.
Yeah, I think that plays a factor. I think that plays a factor.
And we knocked off Texas Tech. That is a big
beat them bad. Beat them bad.
That's what I'm saying. So you beat a Texas Tech. You beat a who else did we beat? There was a Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah.
So my point is, you make a case.
Texas Tech on the road at that.
Yeah.
Man, give me an 11 seed, man. But I'll settle. If you give me 12, I ain't gonna be mad about it. But if you put us at 14, I'm gonna be hot.
Anything more than 12 is disrespectful.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. That's correct. 12 is the ceiling for that right there. But we'll take anything lower. I don't see us getting in single digits. Maybe if we sweep the table and we win one more game. But we had a murderer's row for a schedule, though, even though we won 2 games. We had, UNC, we had UCLA, we had UT.
Right.
Come on, y'all. Let's be real now. Go ahead, Cole.
No, that's it. I wanted to get your opinions on that, but only time will tell. But I think we've shown enough, especially if you go back to last season. Granted, we lost some players, but we didn't skip a beat. We had one blemish on the season in SWAC play, but I think the world knows that this team is legit. So I think that will play a factor.
One thing I do want to add, it's difficult to play a whole season being a hunted.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can't have no
right.
bad.
Nice
they were hunted the entire season, and they still are. They still got to get through the tournament. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. So
no doubt.
We'll see.
No doubt. All right, we'll see. We'll see. All right, so let's move it right along. We got to talk about the men.
All right.
Here, Coach Mo Williams. Peanut. Coach Mo. All right. 12-6 in conference play, number 3 seed. So let's talk about it. This has been a topic of discussion. First of all, it's first year. I know in the message boards and the group chats and things like that, we fans go kind of back and forth. I know one thing that a lot of fans look at, the Valley loss at home. But BJ, I know you like to put things in perspective. You're like that sensible, calming voice that kind of calms everybody down. So I thought you brought up a good point when you just talked about just kind of the overall season. You talked about losing the game to Valley, although that's a tough loss, but it happens. It's basketball. So just kind of give us your perspective on the overall season.
I mean, I feel like, if you ever talk to someone that played a whole basketball season, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have some losses in there. Whether, you want to like them or not, they going to come. You see it on all levels. I mean, the SWAC level, the Power 5 level, you see upsets. You have, let down. So, I mean, for me, it's all about being consistent. And pretty much you want to go into the tournament playing your best ball, which we are. I think we won, 7 of our last 8. With of course that one loss was to Alcorn at home, which was a sour loss as well. But even with that, I told people we split with Alcorn. Alcorn was the best team in the conference. I mean, I think they earned it, they proved it. But we also went and beat them on their floor, and they came to Jackson and beat us on our floor. So that's
had to come back to beat them.
But I like the way the team progressed. I like the way our team has been resilient. We've, had some things not necessarily go our way, but they coached and they kept fighting. And I like the way we progressing in year 1.
Ken Clark, I know for you, I mean, I want to speak for you, but I can imagine, you talk about Mo, that's a personal relationship going back to,
Yeah.
First grade or kindergarten or whatever.
All the
So
way back to elementary, man.
okay, elementary, there you go. So
playing Coach K basketball on Sega, man.
Okay, there you go. In the living room, right, with each other. So for you, I know, you have to call it like it is, but at the same time, that's your friend. So just take the friendship out of it. Just be 100. What do you what's your take on the season, Coach Moden's first?
Man, honestly, I thought the season went about as outside the Valley loss. Valley loss was a black eye for the season. It was, but no disrespect to Valley, but it is what it is. First season though, this is what I look at.
Mm-hmm.
I look at what he did last year at Alabama State. I look at what Alabama State did this year. You see what I'm saying? Then you look at the fact that he's 12-6 in conference play. Man, we had a brutal non-conference schedule. We did.
I think that was intentional.
It was brutal, man. So here's the other thing I'll say about that. Even with that being said, there was some turnover in the midst of the season. So you start the season with your two best scorers being, Trace Young, and then you have Gabe Watson, who's no longer with the squad. So this is what you got to ask yourself. If two of your best players is no longer on the team and you don't finish the season with those players, what was happening in the beginning of the season that led to that decision? You get what I'm saying? So could it be that some of those circumstances that we're not privy to know, we're not speaking on that, the Coach Mo and his staff knows, the team knows. And then there was some injuries. We had some players that we were high on when we did the recruiting show that didn't even see the court this year, just due to injuries, Keontae Cornelius, I think, is one of the players that I was really hoping to see hit the field. I don't think he saw not hit the field, hit the court. And he didn't. I don't think he hit the court the whole season. Jamie Mitchell started the season off playing well for us. Get an injury. Hey, man, you go into a situation where now there's been some turnover. But let me say this right here, though. Shout out to Coach Mo and his staff and his team, because after those changes were made, whatever that was, and for whatever reason, it looks like the team bought into what he was preaching and what he was selling, and the results showed. So I really think the way we ended this season was about his best. It was enjoyable to watch Jack State basketball. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure there was some areas in which he would definitely like to see the improvement. Thought our guard play, decision making, scoring. We saw some players elevate, and I think he did well for his first year, man. I mean, when you dealt with some adversity, you got the pressure of being at home, right? You get what I'm saying? And I thought he did a really good job. But I mean, if you really just want to take the non-conference schedule off, 12-6, and then to finish third in the conference, that's the key. Third in the conference. So kudos to him, man. Impressive year one, man, because it could have went way worse than that. You lose your two best players and you elevate.
Just to piggyback off of Ken, this was definitely a season that showed that pressure produces diamonds. This team dealt with a lot of adversity. When you lose a Gabe Watson, who's supposed to lead you in scoring, you lose a Trace Young, who's an NBA prospect. He's 6'8", and he's a small forward, which doesn't happen in the SWAC often. He can jump out the gym, and he can shoot the three. When you lose those two guys, a lot of teams would have quit. A lot of teams would have packed their bags, and they would have just said, hey, we'll try it again next season. Just to finish third and finish in that top four and be able to host a home game in the SWAC tournament, that says a lot. My hat goes off to Coach Mo Williams. He played pretty much the last 15 games. He was shorthanded. You lose basically all your wing players. We went from being one of the tallest teams in the SWAC to one of the shortest teams in the SWAC. You go from starting 6'2", 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", 6'9" to being 5'10", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'8". So we played kind of at a disadvantage, but it also showed that Coach Mo can coach. It showed that he can coach. This is not just a hobby. He showed that he's for real about this. Because listen, if you watch these particularly the last 10 games, he had to coach.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
He wasn't out talented nobody. We did not out talent anybody. We did not out talent anybody. Let me say it one more time. We did not out talent nobody. He had to do some coaching. It was good to see some set plays on offense. It was good to see some in-game adjustments on defense. And my hat is off to him. He showed that he's not just a name. He can actually coach. Shout out to the development of Manziel and actually having post players.
Great points, man.
Romel Mansell. I thought he improved throughout the course of the season. Who are your players who kind of, especially when you lose those two guys that we mentioned earlier, who are those players who stepped up the most for this team?
I want to shout out somebody that the last few games he has really kind of showed up, and he didn't play a lot coming into the season. He's really only started playing, I want to say maybe the last 2 or 3 games, and that's Jelani Bell. Like we've had to go so deep into our bench.
Yeah,
and I know when he checks into most games, people are like, probably who is that?
That's true. I got a few texts. Who is that?
Like if you haven't been around the program, if you don't really know, you probably have no idea who he is. But he's came in, he showed up. I mean, he hadn't been, so some people get in the game that ain't played all year. You can see their eyes get big, but the moment they've been too big, he's been in some close games and took shots. Big shots, and it made them. So that's who I want to shout out, man. I know that's somebody that people probably wouldn't even expect to take and make those shots, but he's done it. And shout out to Mo for even them having the confidence to even go to him, to even having that, he must have seen some, in practice, just be like, okay, I can trust him in this moment. And so shout out to them too for getting them ready.
Yeah, right out of Ridgeland, man. Ridgeland been good to us. Ridgeland and Madison Central been in multiple sports.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And then let's talk about this point guard position, because I think early on,
I wanted to hear what Mo had. I thought Mo was going to send somebody out.
I got to pull something out of my bag real quick. We don't win these last 3 games without Zeke Cook. Not on the offensive end, but on the defensive end.
I don't have to go because he gave me my choice, so I'm gonna just let Willie rock out. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, Mo.
Yeah,
Zeke, no doubt in my mind, is the top defender on this team. He is the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, he can play some offense, but we have to have him on defense in order for us to be successful. For the last couple of years, we had to have McKinnon on defense. So it's a little bit different to have a stretch forward, somebody that can go out on the actual wing and guard the other team's best offensive player, and he's really, really good at it. He had Doss looking lost at the end of the game last week. Doss, the number 1 offensive player in the SWAC, looked lost and didn't want to have nothing to do with Zeke.
And that was a great adjustment from our first game against them too. I got to throw that in. That's a great adjustment because he gave me fits the first time out.
Yeah, I want to say Coty had him. I want to say a lot that first game. I can't remember. It might have been Ken. It was one of them.
And Ken. And we had to go a little bit bigger. I mean, Zeke, even versus Prairie View the last time we played them, he had to get on their big guard, and he slowed him down. And he's the guy. He's a glue guy. He's definitely the guy that I would call the glue, particularly on defense. And he's had some big rebounds, and he's an undersized forward.
Yeah.
He's only 6'5".
Offensive rebounder. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Some huge rebounds.
Yeah, junkyard
so
dog.
I definitely, I know he's not a guy that's going to go out there and give you 20 a game, but I want to give him a shout out for doing the dirty work.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
And of course, we relied heavily on a couple of the holdovers. We mentioned their names, but let's get in a little bit more in depth. A couple of holdovers from last year's team, Coty and Ken, 2 of the top scorers on the team. Ken, of course, he started a lot for us last season under Coach Brent, but Coty, he made a big leap this year. His sophomore season. He wasn't a starter right away, but once he was inserted into the starting lineup, there was no turning back. So Coty, Young, Ken as well, but Coty has been huge for us and the leading scorer on the team.
So 2 things that Coty provides that I think is gives him an edge. Number 1, he's a lefty. It's extremely hard to defend left-handed shooters, for one. Because they're releasing the ball from a different vantage point than most. Number 2, he's a 3-point threat. And that was one of the questions I had, for Coach Mo when we had him on Tiger Talk. Just, the game has changed so much with the 3 ball, and
right.
I love the fact that it's also his confidence. Maybe that Alcorn game at the beginning of the season when he won that thing for us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe that set his confidence for the rest of the season. But the reality of it is he ain't saw a shot that he didn't think was a good shot.
He don't like if
He
he
gonna
open,
let
he
that
let
thing
it fly.
go, man.
And
So
you gotta have that.
you do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. To Corey's point, though, the big leap, man. Sometimes you be like, you can be so far here, and then you get that opportunity. You don't know. I don't know if I should really let my personality out and just let that thing go. You can tell that the coaches told him, like, look, if you got it, you shoot it.
Shoot
If
it.
you see it, you let it go.
Right.
And that's a
confidence.
testament to the confidence and what he's done in practice and what Coach Mo has seen in him. And you know, Ken for sure. You know, Ken is a staple on offense. You know, we know what we're gonna get with Ken Evans. You know, he's a baller. But Coty is that guy that you got to where number 4 at. You got to look for him.
Look,
If he slip you, yeah.
Right.
They
To
game
piggyback
plan
off
for
there,
him.
you're right. Do you see
Oh.
when we play teams how
Yep.
the people know what Coty is? Like that's like some of the things that I watch
Scout him.
when we
Yes.
play teams.
It is.
Like
you got to scout
people
for him.
really they find out where Coty is. They pointing, they looking, because you know, like you said, the 3 ball is such a big part of the game. You got to defend the
Yep.
3. So like I really watch teams and how they just, you know, even when he comes off those screens, they pointing, they communicating a lot because he's that one big threat for us that people, of course, like I said, the other coaches get paid too. So, you know, that was something I wanted to piggyback off what Ken said.
But that's
One
the
of the-
compliment I have to have with Mo is that he didn't, even when teams game plan for Coty, they run him off screens. They don't just let him be stationary and let teams just focus on him.
Yeah.
They move him around. He cuts, and don't get it twisted. He ain't just a shooter. We seen him dunk a couple of times.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Which is something I want to see him do more because he's so big and strong. Like
Man,
Coty
he's
is
strong
a
as
big,
an ox,
strong,
man.
he's
He's
a big,
strong,
strong
man.
boy. So I want to see him when teams get up on him.
I was going
I
to throw
just
in
wanna see
there
him-
that he's such a undervalued rebounder, man. He's a
He
great
is.
rebounder too, and that's where the physicality come in. I don't know if Mo was going to say that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
You're
yeah, man.
good.
Go ahead.
I mean, Coty, no doubt about it. He's learned how to be a scorer. And one thing that I've seen in his game the last couple of games that you guys might not have picked up on, he's making his free throws.
Yeah.
He's making his free throws.
Yep.
And hey, my hat goes off to him because he wasn't the best free throw shooter coming into the season.
He was in the 40s in one game. It's like, man,
Right.
he ain't take a whole lot of them, but he started off shaky from the free throw line. So that's a good point. Good point, Mo.
And last but not least, I want to talk about this point guard position. Early on in the season, it was kind of unsettled. There was some shuffling. Chase had it. We went to Ken for a minute. We even went to our true freshman, Danny Does It out of Callaway. What up, Zoe? Mr. Hunt. But at the end of the day, when the dust settled, it's kind of Chase Adams settling in at that position. So talk about that position and Chase Adams.
I think point guard is a position that we really looked at because anytime you look at your coach and your coach is an NBA guard, you kind of think like, okay, what our guard's gonna look like. And you know, Chase, he kind of started the season and it seemed like he was trying to find his way a little bit. So they was like, okay, let's go with this freshman. This freshman, you know, he's aggressive. He don't mind shooting. He don't mind, you know, getting dirty. He don't mind defending people. And then, you know, we had Keontae Cornelius for a game or two. And then we went back to Chase. So I think with Chase, this has kind of been a year that he's kind of had to try to find his way. But I would say this, in the last 10 games, he became that guard that handles the ball at the end of the game. And he's that guard that gets us in our sets. And he's hit some big shots down the stretch. I mean, there was a game or two where we didn't win that game if Chase didn't penetrate at the end. You know, we don't beat Texas Southern that last time without Chase. You know, and Chase has also found a way to play some defense and get some steals for us. And he's knocked down some very crucial free throws. I mean, your point guard has to be able to hit those free throws down the stretch, and your point guard has to be able to take care of the ball at the end of the game. And that's something that Chase has developed and really turned into that guy in the last 10 games.
I think when you know, when you go back to the UAPB game, right? That game could have easily got out of control. You know, matter of fact, they had a lead for the most part of the first part of the game. When it was you felt like it was going to get out of control. Chase came in, made some really critical shots, man. Even hit that deep ball. And I like what you said. But I'm going to compare Chase. Chase's importance to this team is the exact same importance as Gerard Covington that we mentioned. This team will go as far as Chase Adams leads it, you know, and I mean that because, like I said, it's a lot of pressure. That's a great point, man, given that your coach was an NBA point guard, right? And so, you know, he brought you in. He obviously saw something in him that, you know, that he felt like he wanted on his team. Great leader, you know what I mean? The only thing, like I said, that I would add to it is just going into the tournament. You know, what team we're going to show and put on the floor is going to be determined by what number 10 do. You know what I mean? So Chase Adams is a critical piece to this team. And, you know, you know, we got high expectations and hopes for him. And like you said, he does a little bit of everything, whether it's defense, whether it's getting steals, free throws, 3-point ball. But I would say he's probably, I'm going to go out on a whim and say he's probably the best mid-range shooter on the team.
Easily.
The ability to step in the 3-point line and shoot that 15 to 18 footer. That's rounded. That's his sweet spot. The little float game, 10 to 15 feet from the basket. That's his sweet spot. So, yeah, man, we'll see how we finish. But, you know, like the kid a lot. Chi-Town kid, by the way, man. Tough kid, man. So, shout out to Chase Adams.
And I'm gonna just to piggyback off of Ken just for a second. I'm gonna bring up the Bethune-Cookman game when we played in Daytona. That game is a reflection as to what he can do and how good we are when he's on. Chase went 8 of 11 from the field, 3 or 4 from 3-point range, 2 or 3 from the free throw line, 21 points. We win by 30. The first time we played Bethune-Cookman, we only won by 4.
Yeah.
He gets on, we win by 30. So I'm going to say that, I'm going to leave it alone.
And just to piggyback off that too, I feel like you said, I feel like we are our best when he's aggressive, taking care of the ball, and he's engaged. I feel like that's our best team. But when Chase is kind of, when he's kind of, you know, sometimes you see him out there and he out there, but he don't have his fingerprint. He just don't have his, like, it's like he's just waiting. But when you see him aggressive and he's running the show, that's when I feel like we're at our best. And I feel like everybody else feeds off him and the offense just flows better. I feel like when he's a threat and teams have to worry about him, it just opens up the whole floor for everybody. And we just become a better team.
Right. I'll say this and we'll end it regarding Chase. If you watch any of those broadcasts on HBCU Go with the legendary Charlie Neal, Chase Adams has won Charlie and his cohort's over, right? Because when they're talking about who should have the ball down the stretch when it's a big play game on the line, when they say, okay, when there's a timeout, and, you know, we're drawing up a play and they say, well, you know, what do you think Coach Mo should do? What do they say? Get the ball in Chase Adams' hands, right? I know you guys are ready to get the ball in Chase Adams' hands. So they trust him. Obviously, Coach Mo trusts him. So we're looking forward to see what this team can do in the tournament. Of course, the women as well. So we'll reconvene after the tournament to recap it and talk about the big dance because we know we'll be in the big dance. Hopefully, we'll have 2 teams in the big dance, but we know at least one will be in the big dance.
That's the expectation, man. I'm looking forward to, you know, I plan on getting there I'm going to Birmingham on the Saturday, championship Saturday. I ain't gonna miss it this year. I'll be there, man. So I really hope that we can get both teams to get to the tournament. The tournament is a crapshoot, man. You have one bad game and it's over with, you know. So in the SWAC, you it's win or go home, point blank. Period. You have to win it in order to punch that ticket. We don't have the luxury. So we don't want to see the season end for either team. So let's go ahead and win it. Let's win that chip, man.
No doubt. No doubt.
Right. Like I said, the most important game is the next game. Let's try to get the first one against PV. I believe that's who we have. So let's try to get that first one. And then, like I said, we get by that first game, it's like you say, anything can happen.
Women got Grambling first game. So let's go ahead and knock them
Wednesday
off.
at 5:30. Wednesday at 5:30. And then the fellas be Thursday at 2 p.m. Thursday at 2 p.m.
Okay.
And I just want to give this quick shout out. Shout out to the baseball team. They're 11-2. Shout out to them.
9 straight.
11-2.
Shout out to Coach Omar.
No doubt.
Hey, we're gonna have to get some baseball players on here, man. We need to interview JoJo Smiley with a cool name.
Oh,
JoJo Smiley. Balling, man. Shout out to Ty Hill too, man. So
waiting on Mo to make that happen.
No problem. Say less.
All right, fellas. Hey, as always, go Tigers. D I love.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Definitely.